as AEW reaches what seems to be the next great phase of their existence after the arrival of CM Punk, Adam Cole, and Bryan Danielson. I looked back at some of the stuff that makes me enjoy it about other companies. The superb in-ring quality, the restraint to book stipulation matches too often, the incredible long-term storytelling and booking. But one of the key elements I appreciate the most is their commitment to booking marquee matches on a regular basis with proper and clean endings. That's a key area WWE fails at very often, as just this year there have been well over 50 examples of DQ, countout, and no contest results, most of which were pointless. Compared to that, there have been so few in AEW that I can't even make a top 10 out of them. So, instead, I decided to go through every single instance of a disqualification, countout, and no contest in AEW history and see if they were warranted. Let's begin. First is the most well-known one in Kenny Omega and Pac's Iron Man match. As expected, the encounter was a top-notch affair finished by a sudden death pinfall, but in typical Iron Man fashion, the bastardly heel Pac got himself disqualified to get the upper hand halfway through the match. It was a story beat that made sense, that didn't take away from the match's ending, and has been featured in some of the best this stipulation has given us, so I have no issue. Then we have the most recent example that took place during the Elite, Hangman Page, and the Dark Order's 10-man elimination match. Early in the encounter, Doc Gallows and Stu Grayson brought away from the ring into the crowd and got themselves counted out. The actual match once again ended on a pinfall, and the countout was used to build to a Good Brothers vs Uno and Grayson tag title match on next week's episode, which was a good epilogue to end this chapter of this story. Then we have the unintended outcome of Orange Cassidy vs Pac on the road to Double or Nothing. This is a weird addition to the list since it's technically a double countout, but that wasn't the original plan at all. Pac and Cassidy were supposed to go to a time-limited Raw to set up the triple threat match, but Cassidy got the air squeezed out of him after a rough-looking Liger bump, so the ending had to be reworked, which was mildly annoying, but I've got to credit AEW for changing the plans on the fly to protect Cassidy from any further injury. Up next, there's Cody Rhodes vs Cutie Marshall, which I'm not sure actually counts, but I might as well mention it since there are so few entries in this list. This was an exhibition match with Arn Anderson as the ref and Nightmare Factory students hanging out at ringside. So, while Cutie punching Arn forced a non-contest, I don't think there was supposed to be an actual ending in the first place. And to the match's credit, it did lead to the creation of the Factory, a faction that for all its faults, did have a promising start. After that, we have the random encounter between Ryo Mizunami and Aya Kong for the Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament. The Japanese side of this tournament was quite stacked, turning what could genuinely be main event matches into stepping stones performed without a live crowd. So, in an attempt to save a more decisive Aya Kong defeat for a post-pandemic show, they booked a countout loss. A really well executed one, but a countout nonetheless. Hopefully, they'll be able to have a much more definitive ending in a proper arena at some point in the future. After that, we move to the dark matches, starting with Michael Nakazawa versus Brandon Cutler. Around this time, AEW started acknowledging Brandon's losing streak and made a story out of it. In this match, Brandon is looking for his first win, and against one of AEW's biggest losers, it seemed genuinely plausible. However, he lost once again, which was logical based on the storyline, but the countout loss was kind of unnecessary. I mean, it's not like they were protecting him for this huge singles run or anything, so a roll-up would have worked just fine. Nevertheless, this result immediately transitioned into our final entry. Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon had unironically one of the funniest feuds of last year. Going into 2020, neither man was able to score any kind of win. They failed in singles matches. They joined forces to make a splash in the tag division. They put over practically every other team available, before finally turning on each other to decide who's got the worst win-loss record in AEW. They would eventually blow off the feud in an outstanding no DQ, no countout match, which was set up after a well-implemented double countout and a very unique double DQ after both men attacked each other with a book and a Giant's dice. Both inconclusive results served a purpose and elevated what was supposed to be a throwaway feud on Dark to an actual highlight of the year. Did I miss any match? Leave a comment down below if so, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on social media at Spawning Wrestling for any update. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, see ya!